Hello my dear friends, how are you? My name is Ari Thurger and today I'm going to answer a question from a friend and my patron, Eric Bergeron. This should be a video exclusive for patrons, but I wanted to share with all of you so you have an example of what content I'm creating on Patron. I'll leave the link right here and on the description down below. As I've said on the previous video, you can become my patron and directly help me with whatever amount of money you wish. If you choose the Konungar's tier, the King's tier, for $5 or more, you can ask me questions on Patreon. And I'll make a video just for you. One video a month for each patron. Those are exclusive videos for those who choose this tier. But for now, I will share this one with you as an example of what you can get if you become my patron. Well, no more delays, let's get started. Eric Bergeron asked me about the type of woods or the best woods to be used for each Aesir deity. This is quite specific and indeed a difficult question because there isn't much about that information and certainly not in the academic field. So my answer will mostly be based on the knowledge I gained through magical work. I understand the question because to our Celtic ancestors, specific types of wood were used for a variety of purposes and were linked to specific deities. In the case of the Norse cultures, it's quite different because specific woods are much more linked to magical work, magical staves, galdrastafir, and not linked with deities, even though in some mythological accounts we have Norse gods linked to a type of tree, like Thor, for instance, to the oak tree. But there isn't a profound explanation for that, and all the other gods seem to have no specific trees linked to them. It's somewhat easier to link Celtic gods with types of wood because of druidry. For druids, and also a deeply rooted concept in ancient Celtic societies, there was the belief in dryads, living beings linked to the tree and growing with it. But at the same time, they were creatures living in both the astral dimension as much as in the mundane world. This spiritual entity lingers in the wood even if a branch falls down. It remains there, a sort of part of the consciousness of the tree itself. A living organism which has its own wisdom we can acquire by working with it. Well, suffice to say that Druid traditions identify certain properties with certain sacred trees and thus link them to specific deities whose fields of expertise are closely connected to the properties of sacred trees. We can trace the properties of trees and link them with Norse gods who are connected to those same properties. So let's start with Rowan Wood. This tree is linked to the powers of bestowing and enhancing life, thus closely connected to an earth goddess. A type of wood specially suited for giving magic, growth, fertility, protection, women's power and magic, weaving and spinning. With this being said, I think you already know which Norse goddess Rowan is linked to, Frigg or Freya. They are the exact same goddess for the Germanic peoples. Only in Scandinavia this goddess was divided in two. If you have seen my video about Frigg and Freya being the same goddess, you know why she represents an earth goddess and also why she is linked to magic, especially women's magic. The ash. It's a wood associated with many divinities. In Norse mythology, it's represented by Yggdrasil, the world ash, or the tree of life from which all the worlds spring, which symbolizes traveling between many worlds. Beneath the world tree Yggdrasil, the tree Norns with the fates. The dragon Nidhoggra lives in its roots. A variety of sacred animals live in the tree, an eagle, a squirrel, stags, etc. And a goat feeds upon its leaves and turns that food into the drink of the gods that provides immortality. Odin himself, in his ordeal to achieve knowledge, hanged himself on Yggdrasil, probably linking the ash tree to the ritualistic sacrifices in the cult of Odin. Odin himself has a spear made of ash, symbolically linking it with magical will and protection, and also a sacrificing tool. Ash is well suited for shamanic magic, protection, and to enhance one's skills in any art or craft. Odin is one of the Norse divine archetypes of the shaman. So with this being said, ash is a type of wood that can be linked to Odin more than other deity. Maple is a type of wood used in celebrations of the season and the cycle of death and rebirth. This is a very good wood for spells of sending and communication, binding, transmutations, creation, rebirth, healing, and abundance. Could be a type of wood linked to an earth goddess, but it is masculine in nature. I would link this tree with Hymir, from whose body the world was made, making him, after death, a symbol of absolute fertility, abundance, creation, and in a way, rebirth. The masculine counterpart of the earth goddess. But I think this wood can also be linked to Freyr for the exact same reasons, because he is the opposite polarity of Freya. Helm is sacred to the mother goddess in her form of as wise grandmother. Like I said before, Freya and Frigg are the same goddess, only two different aspects, and the aspect of wise grandmother can be traced to Frigg. Although, honestly, I would link this wood to a lesser-known Norse goddess, Snotra, a goddess directly linked to wisdom. But since I'm also sharing this video with all of you, Mr. Eric Bergeron wanted to know about the Aesir, but for those who work with other deities or your spiritual path is much more turned to Hrokathru, this is the type of wood I would link to Gullveig, a goddess or one of the three aspects of the same goddess, and this one aspect in particular is closely connected to wisdom, but the type of wisdom the gods themselves fear, because it's a whole new level of wisdom which can cause devastating effects if you are not wise enough to control your power. Blackthorn, used for strong protective magic. I do not advise the use of this wood, so plum could be the substitute wood. It has the same function but less troublesome, let's say. A good wood for enhancing one's skills, protection, persistence, patience, and connected to blood healing. This last aspect connects this wood to two Norse goddesses, Mangloth, a goddess of healing, and Hyndla, a goddess directly connected to everything concerning blood. And together, sharing their wisdom, they can be called upon for healing blood diseases. Hawthorne, for protective magic and all sorts of magic to strengthen one's magical powers. For spells of control or warding, weather working, and protection against lightning. This is a type of wood connected to the god Thor. Lilac, definitely connected to the Norse god Bragi, intellectual and spiritual prosperity, writing, speech, song, reason. Hazel for Freya, love, carnal love, sexuality, and the power of beauty and a woman's seductive power. Apple, which for most ancient European cultures was a type of wood connected to immortality, and that sort of tradition can still be seen in the story and functions of the Norse goddess Idun. The yew wood is closely associated with Ullr, but it's a type of wood specially suited for spells of transformation and transfiguration, illusion, spiritual journeys, necromancy, conjuration of helpful spirits, guides, and ancestors, and also spells to bestow knowledge, eloquence, or persuasion. As you can see, this wood can be used for very specific purposes and then call upon the deities whose fields of expertise are closely related to the specific work you want. Yew wood can be linked to Loki, Hel, Hermod, and Bragi. Well, this isn't a video about the magical properties of woods. I was just telling you some of the properties so you could directly associate with the deities, or a sort of explaining you why certain woods are associated with specific deities. I have extended this video too much, so let's just link types of woods to gods to finish this video. Oak, walnut and redwood for Thor. Holly for Huldr, but much more for Odin and Tyr. Hickory for Suna. Cherry, much more for Tyr, but also for Skadi in her aspect as Huntress. Huldr for Hegir, Ron and Njordr. Willow for Mani. Poplar or Aspen for certain aspects of Hel as a goddess of healing, trauma, anxiety, depression, but also for the goddess Njorun. Alright, my dear friends, I hope you have enjoyed this video. This is the sort of videos I will make just for patrons who choose the King's tier at my Patreon. From now on, those type of videos will be exclusive for Patreon. But this one I shared with all of you, so you have an example of what you can get if you become my patron. So, thank you so much for watching, and a special thanks to Erik Bergeron for this question and for becoming my patron. See you on the next video, and as always, tack för idag!